Ladies and gentlemen, good morning and a very warm welcome from the Provinciehuis in Zwolle here in the Netherlands to tell you all about the results of the INDU-ZERO project that started 3 years ago. Because of the COVID interruption, it seems like 300 years ago, but it's only 3. The project was initiated by the Interreg North Sea region, the European Regional Development Fund, and the goal was to enable mass uptake of home renovations towards energy neutral in the North Sea region to meet up with the EU climate targets. For that cause, INDU-ZERO has developed a blueprint, and I think that's very special, for a smart factory that will be able to produce standard renovation packages at an industrial scale for half the current market price. And I say that one more time, half the current market price. That's really special. Myself have been working on sustainability for almost 15 years on a daily basis now, and I think what is happening here is quite formidable. And it's always a good thing to know that 22 million homes will be sooner neutral on the meter than the Netherlands will have a new government, so that's always good. Let's see what the Head of the Cabinet of the European Commission Executive Vice President for the European Green Deal, it's quite a lot for one person, Diederik Samson, has to say on the matter.
Dear all, it's a great pleasure for me to be able to speak to you on the day when your hard work delivers its first results. Executive Vice President Timmermans has personally asked me to bring you his best regards. He's a strong supporter of projects like yours and would have liked to tell you that directly. But it was simply impossible given his agenda during the lead-up to the COP26 in Glasgow. We all know that to meet the Paris climate goals, more and deeper renovation of our building stock is a must. 40% of the EU energy consumption and 36% of its CO2 emissions are derived from buildings. But we also know that accelerating and deepening the renovation of our building stock is one of the hardest challenges we face on the way to climate neutrality. By 2030, 35 million buildings need to be renovated. And by 2050, it is 152 million buildings. These numbers are daunting and are a matter of utmost priority. And this is why, from the first step of the Green Deal, building renovation has been at the center of our political efforts. We designed an overall strategy with our renovation wave already in October 2020. We made renovation a flagship of the recovery and resilience plans. As of July, 25 of those plans allocated an estimated 60 billion of investments into building renovation. We are also in the process of modifying the regulatory framework around key components of renovation. We did this first in our Fit for 55 package last July. We targeted provisions in the Energy Efficiency Directive and in the Renewable Energy Directive. And most importantly, with the creation of a new emission trading system for heating fuels, and with the establishment of a social climate fund to provide a market signal to investments and to provide the funding of that, especially for low-income households, to create a just transition. And we will upgrade the Energy Performance of Buildings Directive in December. And then we will, among other things, propose a phased introduction of mandatory minimum energy performance standards for public and for private buildings. So to sum up, at the European level, we are actively working to foster a greater demand for renovation, provide the conditions for financing, and trying to ensure the fairness of this overall transition. But none of this will ultimately be successful without the supply side. And when I mention supply, I do not mean simply supplying more of the same. I mean, crucially, supplying innovative solutions. And that's where projects like yours come into play. And that's why projects like yours are absolutely crucial for our eventual success. Your region faces the same set of issues the EU as a whole faces. Your region contains 22 million houses built between 1950 and 1985. Those houses are causing almost 80 megatons of CO2 emissions annually. Current home renovations are being carried out, but on a limited scale, and many buildings are not renovated up to any standard. So like in the EU as a whole, It's all too slow. It's too costly and too shallow. Up to now. Your project can change that. Your project is key because it aims to industrialize renovation solutions while tackling all of the above in order to go faster, to go cheaper, and to go deeper. I can only wish a great success for a project like yours across the whole of the EU. Thank you.
And thank you, Diederik and Frans, of course. Next to me at the table, Ulla Britt Kremer. She is project leader of INDU-ZERO. Ulla Britt, your first reaction on the video, please.
Yes, thank you, Ham. Good morning in Zwolle, in the Netherlands. And my first reaction is we can see that after 3 years, this project is even gained more importance than in the beginning when we started. It has been important then, but now as well, because actually the market didn't change in the meantime. It even got worse because you know that building stock, everybody wants to have a house, a new house or a renovated house. It's too expensive, and it's still too expensive after 3 years. So we need this kind of industrial solution.
Yeah, and the market has changed because housing is short, gas pricing booming, so the urgency is getting bigger and bigger.
Yes, please. Yes.
So what about the goal of the project? You started 3 years ago. What was the whole idea behind it? Because you have to start somewhere. What did you think and what did you do since?
Yeah, we knew that we wanted to industrialize, and we also knew that it wouldn't happen only on national level. So what we did, we said we need to do it on international level because the renovation packages this factory can produce needs to be applied in all the different European countries as well. And the need for that is everywhere the same. So, excuse me, what was your question again?
That was the idea to start, but how did you actually start? So you picked 6 countries. Why these 6, for example?
Yes, because it's a North Sea region and we have all the same need. We have the same need on heating and on cooling. So the climate is more or less the same, of course not everywhere, and the north of Norway not exactly the same as in the Netherlands, but it's similar. It's not like in France or Italy where you have a different climate.
Extreme heats, etc. It's different here. So this was a sort of logic to start. And how did you get these countries around the table and look at each other and say, this is a good idea, let's do this? Because when you want to make a new world, you have to work together because alone we can't do anything. And did countries actually understood and wanted to take part? How did that work?
By driving there, flying there as well, which is not very environmentally friendly always.
Let's skip that bit, yeah.
But by talking to the different organizations, different countries, and talking to them and understanding that we have the same goal. In those countries, everybody has their own role. Like, for example, those in the UK, they're doing the production lines and some other parts as well. But so every project partner has their own role in this project.
So that was attractive for each country. So we can be brilliant at that, and then we can help you with that. So then you start something like a cooperation. And then there was the first point, let's do this. And what has been done so far in the last 3 years? What did you actually do?
We have created a complete blueprint, a whole package for when we took the whole process into account from the beginning, from measuring a house until production design, production design, logistics, on-site mounting, and until the whole renovation has been done. And we actually are going to show it as well in a showcase building, which is at this current moment is being renovated 3 houses in the Netherlands.
In Enschede?
Yes.
It's my birth town, so it's very good it happens over there.
Yeah.
In my childhood, it was all ugly and desperate and hopeless, and now it's one of the booming cities for renovation houses. It's a good development.
It's a good start.
Yeah,
yes.
We came a long way. So then you started. Now we are at the point that later on you will reveal the blueprint, and it's an open source blueprint. So I think that's really brilliant because everybody who wants to step in can actually do that. So that's good. How successful, in your perspective, can this project become? Because in the whole world we're saying all the time, and it's not the best thing to do, but we do it anyway. We have to speed up, we have to scale up. So this is at an industrial level, and it's really huge, 22 million homes. So, Diederik mentioned another number of buildings, but it's a lot of buildings. So we have to change. How successful can this become in your vision?
I think it can be done because we are going to show as well in our business case in the afternoon, understand business case, we are going to show that this is possible for half the current price and what the cost would be to build a factory or rent a factory, be the owner yourself. The whole process we have taken into account in costs. Mm-hmm. So we are going to show what it will cost, but because it's a very interesting business case, I think the market would take it up.
Yeah, and dream a bit on for me, just now here at the table, because the blueprint is there, everybody can start, they might as well do that, because we're really going to push them into it, and then might other countries chip in, might it go to America? How big can it be?
The word is the limit.
Is?
The limit.
Haha.
Yes.
That's good,
yeah.
Because if we want to make it bigger, what would the next first step in your perspective be? What should we do from now on? We're going to talk about that this afternoon much more, but
yeah.
Just to show some light on the matter.
The first step would be that industry and housing associations, so those who build the factory mm-hmm. and those who are going to buy the renovation packages, that they sit together and that they discuss, okay, we have this great results and we can take this one step further into realization. And actually today at 5:30 after this event, there will be such a meeting with some key partners.
Aha. Yes. This is the best bit of information so far. So there will be a
I didn't tell you yet.
No, but it's good. Because we always say we have to speed up and we have to work together. So now everybody is at the table. We might as well do it, right?
Exactly.
Because people make little sums. Every euro you invest in the old economy will cost you 3 euros. Every euro you put in the new economy will bring you 3 euros. So it's not a rocket science to just do this. How happy are you after 3 years of hard work?
I'm really happy because I've seen also what you will see today, what kind of great results we have achieved, mm-hmm. and what the extra is to work together on an international level and work together in an open source.
Yeah.
So with that, you will see today what kind of great results we are going.
And I think that we have to emphasize that because it's not so very German or Dutch to say, we're doing great stuff here, and we need to tell that. So once more, how happy are you?
I'm very happy. And I'm very proud of the whole project group.
You see, it's as simple as that. Ulla Britt, thank you for now. We'll catch up later. You're going to reveal the blueprint, and I'm really thrilled to see what's it all about. Thank you very much. On the screen right now, ladies and gentlemen, will appear the timetable of this morning. And please pay special attention to the coffee break, which is rather essential. And in the meantime, let me introduce you to Bas van Dishoek, the digital media consultant of the province of Overijssel. How did you get a function like that, Bas?
Yeah, I keep asking myself the same question, Harm,
yeah,
but
did you find an
nobody
answer
seems
yet?
to give me an answer.
No, but you'll be in charge of all the questions that can come in.
Yes.
They can do that through the chat and the WhatsApp, right?
Absolutely.
Can you explain how that works in a few lines?
Well, due to the international nature of this great presentation, and of course, we are all wondering about the level of happiness which will come to the whole of Europe, and especially, of course, the happiness of Ulla Britt Kramer. Mm-hmm. But we are anxious to know what everybody else in Europe who is following our presentation today is thinking, what the hearts and minds of the people in Europe are about when we're talking about this great project.
Yeah.
So the way we're going to do it, I'm going to try to be your lifeline with our international audience today. And we've got 2 means of communicating with everybody who is following this program from their home office or perhaps their office in another European country, mm-hmm. Which is, of course, via our WhatsApp channel. So viewers are asked if you got a direct question for people at this table, if you have to want to make a statement or a comment, please do so on our WhatsApp number +316 501-64464.
And it's especially for questions, right? You're not going to get a new
direct
energy
questions.
contract or...
Well, if you're in the
Telephone
business of
numbers on
making
the
a
screen
deal,
is
you
always
can...
very tricky for me, but okay.
Yeah.
Right.
So no, we'll treat our viewers anonymously through this channel, but you can also comment in the YouTube channel. So the live chat is open for general comments.
Good. And we're really anxious to know what people think.
We want to know what everybody at home thinks.
Well, good for you. At the table, 4 new guests, ladies and gentlemen, because we're going to do 2 table discussions this morning. The first is mainly about the why of the whole project, and later on the how will automatically follow. Let me introduce you. Eddie van Heijem, representative of the province of Overijssel, here in the Netherlands. Welcome. Then Volker Wiegel, Chief Operating Officer at LEG Immobiliengruppe in Germany. Also auf Deutsch geht's vielleicht auch.
Geht auch, ja, danke.
Wenige Menschen werden, was geht jetzt los?
Yeah.
Brian Cassidy, he's not right here, he's in the Zoom, so we can see you, Brian. He's from the municipality of Cork City in Ireland. Welcome to you too, Brian. And Evelien Molier, she's Policy Coordinator Energy Transition at the Ministry of Interior in the Netherlands. Evelien, welcome too. Let's start with a question for all 4 of you. And I asked Ulla Britt earlier, but I think this is sort of the main key right now. How thrilled are all of you that this project has come so far, Evelien?
Oh, I'm very thrilled. I'm also very pleased and thankful that I can be here this morning. I know there are many problems on the way to renovating all these buildings. We've heard Samson speak. And I think it is vital that we see, like we will hopefully see this afternoon, how it can be done, or the project of such a factory, and how we can really come up with products that will give the industrialization a boost.
Yeah, and especially from a political point of view, which is more your
Yes.
area. How certain are you of the fact that this is not only a plan being made, because many plans are being made, and then it's on the table and everybody starts doing its daily life again, and the next step will never follow. How certain are you of the fact that we actually will put this into action?
Yes, I think we will have to put it into action, because we heard also what comes from Europe, and if we don't manage to do it, they will regulate.
So there's not much choice, is there?
I'm afraid. Well, we don't have the capacity simply. Not in the Netherlands. I don't know how it is in Germany, but the capacity to build and renovate so many houses.
So it's a no-brainer. We have to do it. Volker, you were laughing. Why was that?
Oh, well, no, I'm really enthusiastic about it. Yeah. Because I think, as Maureen pointed out, it's not only the cost; it's also the capacities of the craftsmen. Yeah, I think we're facing huge challenge to get it done by 2050 or 2045 in Germany. We have the higher hurdle. Yeah,
sure.
To go to carbon neutrality, and it is a must-have to change the way we renovate and the depth of the renovation. We need to make it more efficient on the carbon neutrality side. I think that's something very new for all of us.
And for me, because I've been saying that for years now, a human being is not fit for change. We are sort of a group animal, and when a big danger is coming at us, we turn to look away or get afraid. And this is such a good example of cooperating. 6 countries, 14 organizations, everybody chipping in, and together we're strong. So is this...
it's unbelievable strong, and there's so much knowledge in this project, and I think that's really amazing to go through 3 years of project work and to go in that detail and depth to find new solutions. And I had the chance yesterday evening to have a chat with some members of the group, and it's amazing. Yeah.
So a whole new life for you has started.
Yeah.
You're sort of going nowhere, and all of a sudden, I have a bright future. This is good. Eddie, how about you?
Yeah, well, I'm very glad that we were able to host this meeting today in Overijssel. So a big warm welcome to everyone, also on behalf of the provincial board. But especially what you said makes this special. I'm also a member of the European Committee of the Regions, and what is really important is that in European regions we come together for these big questions that face our society. Yeah. Like climate neutrality and how to speed up the renovation. And it's really special to see that we succeeded in working together and find a solution.
And will we continue to be able to do that? Because making plans is always good, but then when you put it into action, no, we want to go first. No, we're far more important than you. No, Ireland is to be first. Brian, you'll be on later. So, and then how are we going to do that? Because we're so not used in a European context to really work together.
Well, I think that is something we have to pay attention to, because it's not really important if there is going to be one big smart factory somewhere in Europe. I think the main question is how this scaling up and speeding up can be worked out by our construction firms all over Europe. I think we need many companies that contribute to the solution.
And it's sort of training on the job as well, isn't it? Sometimes Germany goes faster than the Netherlands, than Ireland. Doesn't matter. You learn from each other, you help each other, and it might become sort of fun to create that new world.
I think so. And the interesting thing about this study is that it shows that it can be done. So the business case is there. I think there are some difficulties in practice, in
we'll get to that later.
that has
let's get the good spirit up first, shall we?
No, but you can't take a second step unless you take the first. So we have to tackle them as well, and we will tackle them as well. But in the end, it's the question how we can really speed up this renovation in reality. I mean, Europe speaks about the renovation wave. Well, there is no wave yet.
No.
It's there are a couple of little steps.
You throw a tiny stone into a pond.
Yeah, so we have to build a program also on a national level, I believe, to create a renovation wave. One very important step could be that the Netherlands has a European recovery plan to make. There are 6 billion euros somewhere on a shelf that's not being spent by our national government.
We're lousy at that. Germany is far better at getting the subsidies in.
And I think this renovation wave should be a top priority of our national government in working out this plan.
Another signal to the...
Take it home. I'll
they're
take it
right
home.
here at the table. You please make notes, will you? Brian, over there in Ireland, I'm a big Ireland fan, so I'm really glad you're here today. How happy are you over there?
Well, first of all, you asked about being thrilled. We were thrilled to be asked to be part of this project in the first place, Harm. For us, it was a new departure because it showed it was a way out of a lot of the problems we are experiencing. So, like in the Irish context, our targets for 2050 with climate action are to achieve near zero energy. So that's slightly different from net zero energy, but the work required is more or less the same. And we have 2 million homes to do, and we too have a critical skills shortage in the construction industry overall, in which we're not keeping up with demand in all sectors. And attracting people into the industry, particularly Irish people, has proven difficulty over the last 10 or 15 years. The construction industry, from an employee point of view, is throughout the world become very fragmented. People, a lot of independent little operators. So whilst you may have a major construction firm, again, it gets down to the man on the ground. He is a subcontractor or a self-employed person. So a lot of people are discouraged, see that as not. It doesn't encourage them to go into the industry. So the skills shortage is acute, and I think with the growth in third level education and people seeing better opportunities through third level education, it's going to become more acute. So something has to be done, and the blueprint for the factory and the development of the factory itself will be a way out of this conundrum for us, for all Europeans and throughout the world. So it's an exciting development. It's one that's going to have a major impact on how we go about reducing the energy consumed in buildings. It's also going to be, by increasing the rate of renovation, it's going to hopefully increase the rate at which people come out of fuel poverty, which is quite a problem throughout the Western world, So we see lots of benefits in it. And we do recognise that not all buildings fall into the little box of, 3 front windows and 2 or 3 back windows and a wall.
Yeah, it's very specific, but I get the picture. Yeah. How important is it for Ireland to be next to England that has left the EU and you're in? And now you can say, you see, it's a big advantage to work together with all these beautiful European countries.
Well,
it's 15-0 for you now, I think.
We've been working with Europeans for centuries. It has never been a problem. So And we do look forward to, continuing working with the UK. They are our nearest neighbours and the nearest neighbour to a lot of people in Europe as well. So I don't think their departure is in the long run going to be that significant. It's to everybody's advantage that there's good cooperation. So we would see it as hopefully opening opportunities despite the immediate problems that exist. So and this will be a very important asset for them as well. If the blueprint can take off and grow, everybody benefits.
They'll be banging at your door, I guess. Can we have the blueprint too? No, you cannot. You left the EU. just to tease them a bit.
What you think June, who was coming on later, would say they actually have a lot of the blueprint information. So
yeah, but it doesn't matter what you say. I can see at your face that you really enjoy the idea. Let me put another question on the table. We mentioned it before. It has to be scaled. It has to be an industrial scale. Why is it so important? And from your own individual perspectives, will the tenant in that way benefit, Evelien?
Yes, I think the tenant will benefit because not only they will have a comfortable house, also the price, mainly the gas prices will go down, or they will have less of an energy bill.
Yeah.
And hopefully also with this way of working more industrialized, it takes less time to renovate the house.
Mm-hmm. So it's faster, it's cheaper in the end, and it's good for everyone. Volker.
Exactly. Yeah, it's much faster. Yeah, the panels can be constructed or mounted within 15 minutes, 10 minutes. Yeah. So
you're exaggerating.
No, it's
sort of one drive through a street. Shing. No, it's all renovated. No, it's not.
No, it will be. Yes. Yeah. It's. I took a video. Yeah, on the showcase, and it's of course it needs preparation time and it needs mounting time. But you can do one house per day. Yeah.
It's houses mainly between 1950 and 1985. I got the idea. So this kind of house you can easily renovate when you really prepare.
You can easily renovate. You need to thoroughly prepare. Yeah, that's why the project took 3 years. Yeah, so you have
really get it smartly
done, and then it's of course beneficially for the tenant. Yeah, it's smart because you have a kind of new house within a couple of days. Yeah, kind of new house, and you save energy costs.
Yeah. Eddie, what about you, from a province point of view?
I think
you're always in the middle. It's The Hague, it's the local authorities, and then it's the province. Yeah. And you can be a sort of matchmaker between all these streams.
It's a very comfortable position, but I think it's really important also in speeding up this kind of developments, because there are really many benefits. I mean, the environment, the greenhouse effect is of course the main. The bills, we're talking about energy poverty these days, rising energy costs, people not being able to pay their bills.
Maybe one good tip in the meantime. I saw a documentary on an English earl, maybe good for Brian as well, and he was living in a huge castle, and it was 25 years ago, and he said, well, it's impossible to heat the whole thing. So he took an electric blanket, and he made a house jacket out of it, and with an extension cord, he could just walk everywhere, comfortably warm. So maybe we don't need any renovations at all, give everybody a... never mind. Go on, Eddie.
Yeah, we create shelter suits as well in this province, but let's not talk about that. No, I think it can be an important contribution to saving costs also for many households. But another interesting benefit is also perhaps an economic one, because we are a province like many in Europe with many construction firms traditionally. A lot of buses with construction workers going out to the west every day with all the buses.
True, you see them everywhere.
Yeah. But innovation and also being more cost effective is also an important task and an important challenge for these construction firms as well. And I think in also giving the shortage of labor, craftsmen, we can find them anywhere as well. So becoming more effective, more efficient is also a way to become more competitive and survive in the future. So this is also
even state on this matter that what's going on with the whole of society, that the individualism is getting out of hand everywhere. So that all these small buses driving everywhere, there's no bigger plan. And this provides in working together, getting the bigger perspective in, and being more effective
I think,
on the costs, on the labor, everything.
Perhaps in our way of thinking, we're creating now the idea of a big smart factory, but smart production, the interesting about smart production is that it can be very decentralized also. If you really apply the techniques of robotized and digital production, I'm not sure if the concept of one big factory somewhere in Europe is really necessary.
No, or like a Tesla mania. You could all have small factories.
I'm not sure. I'm interested in hearing your view about this because he's the real expert in this area. So.
Right, Volkert. What about it?
No, the expert. No, I think we need several factories because I think the challenge we're facing is huge. Yeah, and so one smart factory won't solve the whole problem. Yeah, and to build something together, to put it into a larger perspective, and also to find new solutions and to stop thinking in old habits and to say, like in 15 minutes you can't do it. Yeah, I think we all need to open our minds to find solutions for the road to 2050.
Yeah. I can add to that maybe that this is probably a concept for a certain type of houses, but also from the government perspective, we're trying to foster thinking in contingenten. Certain types of houses, and then produce a
cohorts of houses.
Cohorts, and produce an idea or a product for that.
Right.
So, and I'm curious to see if because we all think our houses are particular to the Netherlands or Ireland or Germany, but apparently you can insulate them.
The basic structure is quite the same.
That's very interesting.
Yeah. And it's good that when we decentralize it, all the local people will think, oh, we're benefiting too, we're contributing, which is good too. Yeah. It's on another level. Let's go to Brian in Ireland. Brian, is it for you an advantage as well? Because you have a small sea between the rest of Europe and you, that you think that doesn't matter because it's decentralized anyway?
No, decentralization is very important, and it's the way it's going to work. Because remember, the factory is designed to produce. The blueprint is for 15,000 a year, so factories can be scaled up and scaled down from that number. So for us, 2 or 3 15,000 unit factories should get us to 2050 on time. But in terms of scale and what's the impact? I mean, for the occupants of the houses, for us at the moment on a small apartment block, it's taking about 20 weeks to complete a deep retrofit renovation. So that's considerable disruption to the occupants and to their way of life. So if you can bring that down, even half that, and the ambition is to take it down to 1 day or 2 days, that's a considerable advantage both for the tenant and for the contractor doing the work. The other one then is cost. So if you can bring the cost down, half the cost, that leaves people with more disposable income for other things in their lives, and that too is essential. Particularly, in our case on the social side, we're dealing with low-income households. So any additional disposable income they have, either from savings through the renovation itself or through reduced energy bills, can only be beneficial to society. And then there are other benefits, and thermal comfort was mentioned. That is important too, because many of our houses, like yours, built between 1950 and 1985, they just weren't designed for heat retention, and heat loss is a significant factor. But also, increasingly, it's being shown through research that the occupants of low energy houses have better health outcomes because the air is drier, they're less prone to damp, they don't suffer from mold, and these are resulting in better health outcomes, which will extend people's lives and hopefully reduce the costs on our health service. Yeah. So it is, the benefits are out there, they need to be grasped, and they will come.
Oh, we'll keep you in anyway, so that's good. We know where you live. Let's make a sort of statement to the rest of the world. And it goes like, the current approach of renovating of existing homes will not be able to reach the European climate targets because it's too slow and it's too costly. So what can we say to that? Because we have to get rid of the old economy. Is it sort of big yes?
Yes.
Affirmative.
Yes, but we really need an investment plan to overcome this implementation problem.
Gap, maybe.
Yes, and that's an interesting to. I'm very glad that Ulla Britt already mentioned that we are really planning the next step already, because the study is one thing, but we really have to take a next step. And the question is, how can we invite corporations, housing corporations, owners of the buildings to invest really, and that market pool will eventually be important also for construction firms to scale up and speed up their production.
Let's look at The Hague again, because the tenant fee, how you call it in English, let's get rid of that. It's almost gone anyway, isn't it? So all the corporations should get more investment power. And,
yes.
That one. And what is the politics possibility of enabling to do this? Do we need a little subsidy? Do we need legislation? What do you do in The Hague to just get this going?
Yeah, we try on several layers with legislation or the regulation, but also with subsidies and also with the bigger, financial
It's always good to
the
emphasize it, like
having.
the bigger.
So it's all, you mentioned our government, or we're trying still to get the new government, so it's all in there, I guess. They're now talking on substance, I heard, so let's see. So it's different parts that we aim at. But it's very difficult, and I really should compliment like the regions of Overijssel or also the other ones that work on this project, because we are from a state level. We try to think what can we do and how should we promote collaboration between social housing sectors. And
you can be challenged as well, because they're doing stuff over here, and then you have to react
in the region,
like,
it's happening.
Right. Good.
Good.
Let me put another slightly, then we go to Bas for the questions, because there might be many, a slightly more philosophical layer. There's always questions about the lower income groups. They're not really busy in their daily lives with sustainability and the new world and stuff. And 2 weeks ago, I met a guy and we talked about how we're going to get these groups involved. And he said, and I thought it was rather brilliant, that if we're going to renovate these houses for the lower income groups, couldn't we give the whole renovation to them for free? So no raise of rent, just say, hey, we're making a new world together and you're going to get it because it's rather expensive. You're going to get this for free. Your new world is already starting now. How about that, Eddie?
Well, I think there has to be. It's an interesting idea. Let's.
It's only from 5 billion, so money is free anyway. So.
Yeah, but I think that many people are interested also in sustainability, but also in their energy bill.
Right.
So this, especially now with gas prices exploding. And energy poverty coming to a national agenda also, I think there will be an incentive to think how an investment plan can be built with a mix of perhaps subsidies and also investment by corporations, because they are in the end the owners of the buildings and the building blocks, and they have to invest and return this investment and the benefits of the investment to their tenants also.
It's sort of a political decision. Let's get the lower income groups into the next phase by giving it.
I don't even think that they are not willing to pay slight rent or rise or energy. I don't even think that that is really the problem, because they will get a lot in return. I think there's a lot of trust or mistrust, or why is this happening and how much hassle will it take if I have to leave my house for 3 weeks, and does it really work, this heat pump, and there are lots of things that we need to explain to them as well, how to use the house.
Okay, let's just sing in Volkert.
I think the goal must be that the overall rent the tenant pays will be the same, so that he changes utility bill into rent. If he change on utilities by a better insulated or better renovated house, that this can go to the tenant, but the overall will be the same. And if I think the project is one big step for getting there, because we show that, or in the project is shown that the costs can be reduced.
But I thought it was just such a fun idea. If you have a low income, you're always at the back of the line, and you're just getting this for free.
But you need,
your life is changing.
But you also need to
just let it on the table. Otherwise, you have to make comments. And let's go to Bas quickly. Bas, are there any questions?
Well, of course, the live chat is still a bit slow, so I'll encourage everybody who is following this through our YouTube channel to make a comment. But curiosity is on the rise, anxiety is on the rise, especially when the investment plans are mentioned. A $6 billion figure has been laid out on our blue table. So the question is, of course, how do we get this budget in full swing?
Right. Who can pick up the question?
Well, it's a bit politically complicated because we're at provincial level, together with the local municipalities, we're really lobbying for an investment plan that benefits our economy, but also sustainability. But it's delayed by the political circumstances, so to say. The current minister says we don't want to build this plan, it's up to the new government. So we have to be happy that finally people are talking about a new coalition government and
don't get your hopes up yet.
No, I have to clamp to the fact that finally they are negotiating.
Yeah.
But it's too slow because the new plan has to be delivered before April, I think, next year.
Right.
So if you want to build a plan, you need partnerships. You need partnerships with a lot of stakeholders in society, with local and regional governments. And we are not feeling that the national government is looking for this partnership. And this is really something that we're criticizing for a long time already.
Yeah.
But, well, it's not. I don't blame the person in front of me because she's also.
Why not? She's from the politics.
We are a bit frustrated that there is no reaching
sort of
out.
As always, because and not even we have a government or we don't have a government. It's always like the entrepreneurs want to do stuff, and it's always difficult for politics in coalitions and stuff to pace up.
But this is money that is there already, and there is a huge willingness in regions and with a lot of partners to build a plan. And well, it's not being answered.
Let's go to Brian.
Yeah, the whole idea of funding is interesting. So if we look at the lower paid and people on social housing or social incomes, I mean, and low incomes, the reason they're not buying into it is because they can't afford it. But a number of things are happening in the market at the moment. One is financial institutions are starting to take a greater interest and starting to offer loans at a slightly lower rate. And secondly, we need to change the attitude of people who can afford. So at the moment, two things are happening here in Ireland. One is there's the emphasis on the social side. And the second one is the emphasis on people who have money, who live in what I might term haciendas in the countryside, and who can well afford to carry out not just a retrofitting, but a major renovation of their home. And that's where the market is at the moment. So with things like bank loans and government grants, the aim here is to bring that in more towards the people in the middle. So that if they're thinking of extending their house, or if they're thinking of replacing the kitchen or doing an internal refurb, well, get them to stop and think again and say, okay, maybe I don't need the internal refurb. Maybe I don't need a kitchen. I would be far better off as a person and as a family if I invest that money in improving the energy efficiency of my home. And that kind of a mindset we need to start putting that out there and instilling it in people's minds. Yeah. Because a factory that can produce 15,000 units a year won't have a market unless there are people there to buy it. Now, for us, I think that the market is slightly different. Only 10% of our housing stock would be considered social. The rest is privately owned. So we have a huge emphasis on trying to bring in people who own their own home and get them to say, do you know what, I'll do this. I won't go to Holland on my holidays next year. I'll invest in retrofitting my home.
Yeah. And it's storytelling altogether all over again. You have to get the story out, and you have to get people enthusiastic about what we're going to do, and which is rather difficult for some groups, of course, because they're struggling.
It is, and that mindset has to happen. We have to get that mindset change out there.
Well, it's good to try, and we're going to do it. And it's always a good idea to just start running, and then everybody will run along with you. Because
I think another issue is for people who may be in the middle there, and the economic decision to go or not to go with a retrofit. Very often, what puts them off is when they hear the cost, and that cost is very often associated with the upper end of the market. They're not just getting a retrofit; they're renovating the whole house, and it's costing them 80, 90,000 euro. And if your budget is 20, 30, well, you know, there's a problem to be overcome there. So one of the things that we're starting here is next year is putting in an advisory centre so that people can come in and get independent advice on what actually they need to do to achieve the near zero energy rating on their home. And it's not 80 or 90,000 euro. It can be a lot lower. And also say to them, okay, so you're not going to get to B2, but look, this is the best way for you to spend your money if you want to improve the energy efficiency of your home.
Yeah, great.
Yes. Local energy cooperatives or other groups that know how to reach out to people in streets, even if it's not tenants.
Yeah.
They can bring maybe groups together.
And that is changing rapidly as well. All these local grid stuff developing, people having new ideas about what they want and how they're going to cooperate. It's really brilliant. So, Bas, more questions?
Yeah, this is raising questions, of course. So thank you for that. So we'll keep them coming. So the question which is raised in our online viewing audience is not only the tenants must benefit, but also homeowners who live near them in former rental properties. Housing corporations should help them too with INDU-ZERO prefab renovation actions. How to make this possible?
So not only the tenants, but also the
homeowners
former
themselves.
tenants maybe, or the homeowners. Can they chip in one way or the other? Volkert.
They should, yeah, of course, because it's not only the large landlords who need to have the...
But how do they do that? When you get the huge corporations in, they say, okay, 10,000 homes for me, and then there's me. I have one home, can I please join? How are you going to organize it?
But I think if you have such smart factories, yeah, and you have it with zero engineering costs, you can produce and build panels to renovate the house. It doesn't really, it's not a matter
you see,
of size
when you come with a
But I
large
think this
block of
question
homes.
was particularly, if I understood it correctly, that the former houses that were part of the social renting house, so they're similar, but they are not. They have to invest themselves. In the Netherlands, we have, there's a lot of these issues. We call it in Dutch gespikkeld bezit.
Gespikkeld bezit?
Try
rather
that
Dutch
for people.
Please try to say this at home in all 6 countries. Gespikkeld bezit. Oh, that's a tongue breaker.
But I think that industrialization, and let's say if it's really 50% cheaper, you rightly marked that at the start, it's really, well, it would be really a very great news, and that would make it also easier for those homeowners to join the plans of the social housing association. And in the Netherlands, we have come up with more rental facilities for really cheap loans for retrofitting your house in order to cater also to that.
So it's not
market.
such a matter of not being able to, but more how to organize it. Dus former tenants
But the prices were huge, I know.
Right.
So if it really reduces the price, then they might feel more comfortable to collaborate.
Yeah, and it
at that
also
moment.
significantly reduces the knowledge or the engineering expertise the owner must have, because it's provided by the factory and
so it's
solution.
again being
So
all
it's
open and
something new.
transparent to get the people in and to show them around.
like buying a car. Yeah?
Right. But it makes it even more important that there is some kind of a area-specific investment approach. It's not just to leave the initiative to the housing corporations, but also be involved as a local government, develop investment plans together with all parties involved, and make it possible and make it easy for them to connect to this plan and to step in.
So then everybody really feels part of it as well. Ryan, what do you want to say?
Yeah, so thus far we have found it generally fairly easy. If people want to join a scheme, that's not a problem. Or the problem arises when you have an estate-wide project and people don't want to join the scheme. So if you have a social housing scheme and one guy in the middle of an apartment block says, I don't want to be part of it, well, then the landlord must make a decision on whether how he's going to exclude that person, seen as the landlord is responsible for the walls anyway and responsible for the fabric of the building. And this is raising issues here where people in apartment blocks who own their own apartment will say, no, I'm not joining the scheme. And that leaves the landlord in a conundrum. Should he go ahead or should he not, you know? We've gone that a few times. And the other one then is in a private housing estate where people might come together as a community, set up their sustainable energy community, and then people are arguing over who's going to pay what and when is it going to be paid. And I can't afford to pay he has, that guy up the road has a much better house than me. He can afford to pay more than I. So there's huge arguments and discussions to be had as to how we overcome all these individual problems. And it's not so much a problem now because there's plenty of, for want of a better word, fish out there to low-hanging fruit of people who want to get their homes done. It's I reckon in 3 or 4 years' time, it's when, the companies that are in this market at the moment reach out and they get 3 out of 4 houses in an estate who want to take part and others don't. And that's where the challenge will really come to the fore of convincing people that this is in their interest.
Yeah. And I think even for the homeowners, it might be such a relief to be part of something bigger. You're not just a simple homeowner. No, you're in a group, and all of a sudden you're in a 22 million family group. Feels great, doesn't it, Bas?
Yeah, we get a lot of creative suggestions from our audience in order to make the funding work. So here's somebody who states, well, Apple has a $200 billion cash stockpile. So why not pay proper taxes? Well, we're not in the business of discussing international tax rates, but funding $6 billion for this particular project will be no problem at all.
Maybe afterwards, after today, we just make a short video for Tim Cook.
Absolutely.
Hello, Tim. You've got loads of money for an old world, and now we're making a new world. Please pay. Something simple like that might do. Yeah, but it's a good thing to get huge companies involved in what we're doing. More suggestions?
Yeah, we got a suggestion from Mr. Gert-Jan van Tol. Maybe the current rise of energy prices will help. Thanks, Mr. Putin. Bundle rent and energy costs, and then the investor has a financial model, and the renters will get the comfort for free. Okay. All these creative suggestions keep coming in.
Yeah, for free is always good, isn't it?
For free is excellent.
How about all your own private homes, Evelien? Totally renovated? Energy neutral?
As far as I could so far.
You did?
Yes, I've done the roof and I have solar panels. We are still a little bit hesitating about the walls. But
I'm never
but
home, so I don't have to
I
do
could
anything.
Do more.
But,
I have a very old home from 1919, so it's over 100 years old. And
1890?
1919.
19. Oh, mine is even older. It's 1907.
Okay.
It's terrible.
It is terrible
It is
because
just,
from a heating point of view.
Yeah.
But I've been investing already a lot in the rooftop and in the walls, but not finished yet.
No.
No.
I was thinking of just moving and leave it to the next owner because it's just incredible.
Sometimes
what about you, Volkert?
A roof is insulated and solar panels on it and a battery in the cellar, so
good.
The energy is always already neutral, but still some gas used for heating in winter.
Yeah. We are going towards the coffee break, so I want to just a final round at the table for you to make your final statement towards all the future project developers, to the governments of all the countries, to the investors. What do you want to say, Evelien?
Well, I would say please have a good look this afternoon and invest in it.
As simple as that. Yeah, I think that's good. Eddie?
Well, join the club. I mean, it's interesting to think about national programs and investments, but even more important is take the next step, see how we can make this work in practice and really create a wave. I mean, this is not going to happen itself. We have to create the wave.
And how are we going to tell everyone that we're not going to take no as an answer? We just want this to happen.
Well, we just start doing. I'm really glad that our cooperation Domein in Enschede is already showing how it works, and we learn from it, and then we have to take the next steps.
Yeah.
So if people are interested, companies, corporations, whatever, feel free to inform about what's happening here and join taking the next step.
Yeah. Maybe even feel free to sort of come along now. Stuff like that?
Yeah.
Yeah. We have to emphasize this. Volkert?
Yeah, I think no is not an option because it's our world and our climate, and we need to save it. And I think that's the huge challenge we have. And so
you did all the work. So now
now it needs courage, and it needs entrepreneurs, and it needs.
This is actually an old way of saying it, isn't it? Because we know when we want to keep the world for the human species, we have to change. So this is a way to change, so we have to do it.
We have to do it.
So that's not a lot of courage, it's just a lot of common sense.
It's common sense.
Good, we agree on that. Brian, your final remarks, please.
Yeah, well, if what I would say, if you are an entrepreneur, or you are an investor or a financial institution, and you're looking for something that's both innovative, creative, and does a lot for society, and it has a guaranteed market and is reasonably profitable, well, don't look any further than the blueprint factory for renovating 22 million homes.
Great, as simple as that. I'm going to thank all my guests. A big virtual applause for you all. It's a short coffee break, ladies and gentlemen. 20 minutes to let it all sink in a bit and to decide what we're going to do next. And I see you at 20 past or halfway. 10:30, we'll be back. See you in a minute. Hello, everyone. Welcome back. I hope the coffee break was nice. To speed things up, we discussed this earlier. We need to get to an industrial scale, and the blueprint really helps with that. To describe the urgency, I tend to describe a cartoon I saw sort of a year ago. And in the drawing, you see a man on a floating bed on a relatively quiet ocean. And from a distance, a tidal wave of COVID is coming at him. Huge tidal wave. And the man sees the tidal wave and he says, oh my God, this tidal wave, this COVID pandemic is going to mess up my life. But behind the COVID tidal wave, there's a much bigger tidal wave, the tidal wave of climate change. Much bigger. But from his point of view, from his perspective, the man cannot see the bigger tidal wave. Behind the climate tidal wave is a bigger tidal wave. It's the tidal wave of scarcity in raw materials. It's coming at him as well. And behind that tidal wave is the biggest one of the three, and it's the dramatic decline of biomass and biodiversity in the world. It's the biggest tidal wave coming at him. So 3 huge urgencies to think we really have to start changing. We have to make a better world together. And this is why we need many houses to be renovated in a mass production way. And this, Ulla Britt, welcome back, is why we need a blueprint.
I don't know if I can solve all the tidal waves with a blueprint.
Just start with one. It was such a clear picture, like, oh, a pandemic. It's nothing when we see what's coming at us. So tell me about the blueprint. What is it, and how are you going to officially launch it?
Actually, we are going to launch it today. It's a web-based version of our results. And all the results which we are going to show this afternoon are in the blueprint. So it's our gift, you could say, to the industry, housing associations, to those who are going to pick up our project afterwards and realize it.
Yeah. And what are you going to tell us right now about it?
I'm going to show you something. So I think it's... I'm just looking behind you. I don't know who's going to see it.
Flip the things in. There it is. This is how we renovate 20 million houses in the future, near future.
And so we have all the different contents of the blueprint, which you are going to see now. It's 6 big contents. We have also 6 stands outside today with all the topics, actually more, but because there are lots of subtopics as well.
This afternoon we're going to visit all the stands,
yes.
And even people from abroad can watch through a live stream what is in the stands and people talking about all these different aspects.
Yes.
Right.
And this is the public version of the blueprint, so that will be available from today. You will see later, I don't know how we were going to show it, but we are going to show you where this blueprint can be shown, can be found. And it gives the whole story of the different topics. And by the end of the year, we are going to fill it more and more with the details, like how a production line is really simulated.
In detail.
Yes.
What is it all about? Yeah.
In product specifics and calculations of a business case, things like this. So that will be filled later on more with specifics.
Right. And how is that blueprint going to help all of us to get the things going?
That's actually the starting point, I would say, for a smart renovation factory. We have done all the groundwork and even gone further than that, I would say.
Yeah.
And pick it up and realize it, I would say.
And I'm a sort of imaginary kind of guy. I really get the picture in my head that you can literally pick it up, you print it out, double-sided, whatever, and then you have the blueprint in your hand and you can actually walk to local politicians and you slap them in the face. This is a good blueprint, use it. stuff like that.
But I would say do it with an iPad or something like this, because
can
we
even
don't
hit
want
harder.
to print out too much.
it's tough as a bang. Yes, you have to hit people over the head to just wake them up. And this is a blueprint. We did all the work. It's there, the calculations, all the bits of it that you need to start changing.
That's true.
Right. Is that all you want to say about it right now?
Yeah, and it's online.
Yeah.
And everybody can have access to it.
Open source, free for everyone. So if you want to chip in, just do it. Get the blueprint in. Let's see what Mohammed Shaheen has to say about it. It's quite a title, from the group of Progressive Alliance of Socialists and Democrats in the European Parliament and responsible for the Green Deal. Mohammed?
Europe faces huge challenges in achieving the goals of the Paris Climate Agreement, and the European Green Deal is our answer to become energy neutral by 2050. 40% of the energy consumption and 36% of the CO2 emissions are derived from buildings. Renovating outdated houses is therefore a crucial part of this challenge, and by 2030, 35 million buildings need to be renovated. And by 2050, this adds up to 152 million buildings. However, the current renovation speed is low and the costs are high. This is why we need an industrial approach that considers the whole renovation chain, from the raw materials to the renovation at lower costs. One of these industrial approaches is the INDU-ZERO project. By building multiple factories like the INDU-ZERO factory, we can boost the renovation speed and reach our set climate targets. And I'm urging you to take action. We need to embrace initiatives like the INDU-ZERO and form partnerships from all sectors, industries, housing owners, governments and investors. Work together and dare to change the future. Europe needs you.
Ah, Mohammed, that's good. Dare to change the future. Europe needs you. It's always good to be needed. We're going to have a second table discussion, ladies and gentlemen. Here at the table, we're going to talk about the how of the project. I promised you that earlier. Where did we came from and where we're going to. And I'm going to do that with 5 guests. One is in the Zoom, not there yet, but he will be eventually, probably. Let me introduce all of you. Jacques Bazen, lecturer at Saxon University of Applied Scientists here in the Netherlands. Jacob Lup, he's product developer at Bureau de Haan. It's a very Dutch name, Bureau de Kok, something. In the Netherlands as well, a specialist about design of the product and the renovation package. Then we have Xiu Yang, he's professor at the Strathclyde University in the United Kingdom. He'll be in the Zoom later on. He's all about design of the production process. And then Gerard Salemink, program manager at Saxon University of Applied Scientists as well, about on-site mounting. And we have Herbert Born, as well from Bureau de Haan, and he's the design of the factory. They're all specialists in their own fields. Gentlemen, it's all gentlemen, why is that?
I don't know.
Where are the women?
You shouldn't ask us.
You don't know?
Ask the women.
Yeah, I will. But they have to chip in as well, eventually. So, how happy are you? I think that's so important. I ask every one of the people at the table today. So let's do a little round. How happy are you?
I'm very happy with the results. We have worked very hard to create a good business case for this whole factory, even up to yesterday, I would say. And I'm very glad that we have something now which is very promising for investors. Mm-hmm. And I hope that this afternoon we will meet many of them who will be very interested to pick up this blueprint and start to actually invest in it.
We heard about that a bit earlier on, but today a lot of people will just gather and talk about the next steps, which is really important. How happy are you?
I'm very happy also.
Yeah, I can see it in your face.
Yeah, yeah. And I'm pretty confident because we are with a great project group, and everybody is very dedicated, and there's a lot of people here at the moment supporting the complete idea that we created. And it's wonderful to be part of such a large project with such a group that brings such a lot of knowledge.
It's good, isn't it?
Yeah, it's nice. Yeah. It's really, really, really cool to do. Yeah.
How happy are you?
I'm also happy, but I see this event as the beginning event and not at the end event.
Well, it's an in-between event. It's the end of the preparations and the beginning of the real stuff.
It's the beginning of the real stuff. A lot of work have we to do. So it's only the beginning, because a blueprint is beautiful, but realizing the factory is very much more important.
Yeah. And then actually putting the work out there and get the homes done. And I think, and coming to you in a minute, that while doing such a large project, there must be a lot coming along in the slipstream, don't you think? That it's huge, and when the wheel starts turning, you start changing the houses, and then the local community say, oh, let's do a local electricity grid, and oh, let's make it greener. And so the whole thing will start to move, probably.
Yes, yes. So then you need to think different and change the process and move along.
So it will be hybrid, how we learn along the way.
Yes.
How happy are you?
I'm very happy. I worked along during the project on the factory design, and during the project the factory became bigger, but the story became even stronger. So
and simpler in the end.
Yes. So
because I stepped in relatively late into the project, and within 2 minutes it was totally clear to me. Like, oh, that's a very good idea. So this is always good.
Yes, yes. So very happy to show the results today and the work we have done with our colleagues. So and together with Stratlight and the university. So it was nice to work on.
Yeah,
yes.
I think Jan is there. Are you
yes,
with
good
us?
morning from Glasgow, cold, windy Scotland.
Good morning, Glasgow. It sounds like the Eurovision Song Contest now. May I have your votes on the project, please? I'm very fond of Glasgow. I've been there many times, so it's good to have you here today in Zwolle. How proud are you? How happy are you, Xian?
Yeah, I'm very pleased with the progress on a long journey from very beginning to this point of our development. At the very beginning, we talk about this grand idea. It's a great idea to renovate houses. Look at the social housing, especially in cold winter places like Scotland. Yeah. And many people have real issues. But we were not sure what exactly going to look like. But looking back now, we have an excellent renovation package designed, and we also have a very feasible, technologically advancing manufacturing smart systems, which we can show to people and get people interested and invested into this future factory to make, I think it could be a very game-changing type of revolution, shall we say, to make people's quality of living much better.
Mm-hmm. Maybe the first time the word is on the table, it's a revolution. It's a good thing. Yeah, you better start changing. Bob Dylan already sang it, or you'll sink like a stone, which is good. Let's do all the separate parts a bit, and everybody who wants to talk on the matter can chip in. Let's start with you, Jacques. Business case, 50% at the local price. Half of the price. How can you do that?
Half of the price, that's really a goal, isn't it?
It's totally amazing. How are you going to achieve that?
You can only achieve that by doing some radical innovations. And I will not talk too much about the technical aspect of it, because there is others here on the table who are much more competent in these issues than I am as a simple economist, I would say.
But you're good on the money.
I don't know.
Do you have any Maagdeneiland constructions? Or?
I wish I would know. I'm not that rich, unfortunately, and also not willing to do that.
Neither am I, so that's good.
No, but it's of course a very complicated thing. So it needs a redesign of the complete process from the beginning up to the end, and then to calculate all the numbers and add it up, and then we come to the conclusion that a 50% cost reduction is possible. We have, at the beginning of the project in 2018, we have asked for prices about renovations, this kind of things with different companies, and looking at these prices, we came to an average price of about 120,000 euros per dwelling, so to say.
Dwelling?
Yes.
Nice. My humble dwelling. Yes.
Yeah, I mean, you have houses,
which
apartments,
is quite a big...
I don't know how else to call it, huh?
House.
House, good, per house. And so we came to an average of 120,000. Now, of course, some things happened in these 3 years that the project ran.
Raw materials up.
Raw materials up,
labor up.
We didn't check for the newest prices, but then again, we think with our blueprints that we can do it for, on average, about 60,000.
Yeah. So if you put it all on a big heap, to say it in a quite lump way, can you say that if you scale it up and you organize it smartly, this is where the cost reduction comes from?
That's right. The cost reduction comes from taking as much as possible into the factory, to prefabricate as much as possible, to redesign the process of mounting the materials, and all of that together leads to that enormous reduction in price. But it's, as I said before, it's a radical new way of doing these kind of renovations.
This is what we need, because if we want to make a better world, we have new solutions.
Thinking in the old way will not bring us anywhere.
And measuring it in the old way neither. So we have to invent new system thinkings about how this world should be. Let's go to the on-site mounting. How long does a renovation take? Because I heard 10 minutes, Gerard. Might be not really the case. And are there enough people available that we can train quickly?
First, I like to start with the amount of hours and weeks we needed for that project Jacques mentioned. We're talking about 6 weeks for a row of 6 houses. Then we started changing things. We saw that not only lean was possible to reach our goals. So we started with new machines, we started with new mounting constructions, all that kind of things. And at the moment we are at, for the same 6 houses on 14 days with 4 people.
So it's going down rapidly.
It's, you have to, in the beginning, 3 years ago, about 40 to 45% of the costs were on site. We're always talking about the smart factory, but we also have need smart mounting. So it's
the labor costs are huge, and if you can simplify that, you can earn a lot of money.
Efficiency. But people are not machines.
And what is the main trick in doing it more efficiently? New materials, new constructions, everything.
It's about new machines. It's about redevelopment from the panels, all that kind of things.
And the on-site mounting effect to the design process, is it that you came from the actual site? Is it has to be simpler, so we go back to the factory and we solve it there? Or is it from both sides? How does that work?
It's from both sides, but during the project we saw that development from the point of view from mounting is very, very important. So Jacob did a lot of it in developing, but maybe the price of the panels may be higher, and the total price for the mounting may be lower.
So you can't have anything for certain unless you design the whole process. Right, and which you did very smartly. That's why you're all so proud, aren't you? They're all sitting here like, look what we've done. Jacob, the renovation package, what value does the project create, and for whom?
I think that the value it creates is for everybody that is linked in the chain of development all the way to the end user. And I think that a value always comes within the market. And I think that it is very good that everybody that was in that chain have an advantage of the system that we created. And for example, that then I would like to go a little bit back to the product itself, and what Gerard just said about we are having a little bit more expensive material that we are using to create the panel, but we had to go to that industrialization situation that we want to have a product that can be produced well, that could be mounted well, but also that is great at the end user for using. We had to make decisions in that, and one of the decisions.
Where did you get the knowledge in? Because it's only 6 countries. There's happening stuff in China and in Brazil and in America. So you have to roam the world and to pick everything you need. Where did you get the information?
Also from that chain, you need to have everybody involved, and it starts with the requirements for the product that you need to set, and the housing associations, they have the knowledge about how they want to have their product and how the users are going to use the product. And if you have that information, you can start to make decision making on the product itself, and you start to have knowledge from suppliers that you need, because you don't have all the knowledge within yourself. And I think that is the biggest strength of this team, is that we have people around us that know better than us. So,
of course, it's always the case.
Yeah, and that makes you grow.
Not necessarily in my case, but for normal people, that's the case. Yeah.
So I don't have all the knowledge, but the people that I'm
But it
working
sounds
with...
so simple. Like there's people around me, and we roam the world. But how difficult was it in 3 years to get from zero to a new product, a new way of mounting it, a new way of cooperation? Sounds so terribly complex to me.
Yeah, a very wonderful thing I think we all discovered is that the market in building was very conservative. If you look to the McKinsey...
Still is.
It's changing. It is. It's
not fast,
changing.
fast enough to my likings. So.
But it's changing. That's a fact. And where everybody was working on their own island, within the INDU-ZERO project, we found each other and see that we can bring that islands together to create really like a big thing in the world. And I think that has a high value to what we did.
And for all of you, did it help that as soon as you had 6 countries, 14 organizations chipping in with a bigger goal, that people actually found you during that process? Oh, we might be able to help, or can we contribute something? Because all of a sudden it's out there that 6 countries are working together, which is rather big. So did you notice any of that?
Yes, we did. There were some suppliers that, for example, for the anchor system or for the material itself, HDEPS, they were not partnered directly to INDU-ZERO, but they were so interested about what we were doing that they actually start helping us to come up with ideas, and they got involved in the product development.
It's pure egoism, so it's very good, because they think 22 million homes, we might as well cooperate. So, which is good. Jacques?
I'm just counting stuff, you know. But yes, of course, we had a lot of interest from different parties who want to understand what are the numbers, what is your business case, how are you operating, what are you doing?
And could you be transparent and honest all the time, or were you painting fantastic, faraway pictures like it's going to be huge and fill the dream and...
That's always very nice to do that, of course, but...
that's my business, storytelling.
I would say that storytelling, you know, we try, of course, to be as transparent as possible, but we have to be honest as well in the course of the project. There is a lot of stuff that still needed to be developed in terms of prices and business cases and costs and everything. So, for as much as possible, we are transparent, we are open, and now we are at the start of a whole new period in this project. And we have the things much more clear than we have them like a year or 2 years ago. And we would love everybody to visit us this afternoon and discuss with us and to share with us their ideas.
Yeah, maybe get some extra information in or new perspectives, and it will all build up to a huge...
Very welcome, indeed.
...quick starting point.
So
it's actually good for me too to be here today. So I can... what do you want to say?
You said that constructors are conservative.
Yeah.
There are constructors who are sharing everything in our project. So there is
an open source as well.
They're also an open source. So they also need new steps, new information. They're also having the problem that they don't have workers in the future. So the first steps are made.
The real good company, I was even talking to the CEO of Shell, and they say when we find something in the oil industry that we want to get rid of, we know, but it's difficult. But when there's stuff that's good for all the fossil companies, we share it nowadays because we have to change. So people really worldwide want to make a better world. Let's go to Glasgow. Julian, in what way does the INDU-ZERO project differ from already other existing industries?
Right, just probably linking to what you asked about where the knowledge came from. I think the challenge we are tackling is very unique to Europe, or in this particular case, we look at the challenges in Northern Europe. So lots of new knowledge and new information we have gathered coming from one source of this new knowledge that comes from the research. So within the project, we have done lots of research, try to understand the new design solutions, how they're going to cope with the type of houses in Scotland or in Norway or Sweden, different part of the Northern Europe. So that's one part I think we managed to generate lots of new knowledge, new solutions for the European specific problems. So how could that give you a bit more insight? So research development is a key part of our effort over the last 3 years. Linking to the manufacturing aspect of the approach, we also have done lots of computer simulation, try to investigate what would be the optimal way to reduce the manufacturing cost and make the system robust, etc.
Right. And could we say that apart from working together and having a new perspective on the future, that this is a very high-tech cooperation as well?
Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, just give you a couple of examples of the sort of high-tech we are working on. Some colleagues is working on the use of latest computer simulation modeling to design the whole factory. I mean, the whole factory, we're talking about over 50 manufacturing processes involving over hundreds of manufacturing machineries. It's a very complex, sophisticated system. You have to make sure they all dance to the right, so the tune, and they will be able to produce the right product or right manufacturing results at the right time, etc. My other colleagues in Holland is working on the use of virtual reality, trying to visualize all the different parts during the manufacturing process, and also try to use that tools to get potential users engaged so that they see the benefits of our system.
Yeah. Well, I've been in my life all over Scotland, and you're an international person as well, so to see. Can you imagine, actually, on the Outer Hebrides, the islands in the ocean, on the Isle of Harris or Uwis or Lewis, that are actually these traditional houses will be renovated with INDU-ZERO?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you mentioned it earlier
really?
on.
It's for me.
It's like a kind of this snow rolling effects. If your neighbor says something, oh, this is really nice, and if you tell them you can live in a nearly net zero sort of a kind of a house where you can self-sustain all the energies for what you need. That's really wonderful. So it's not only aesthetically a pleasing solution we are coming up with, we also provide a real kind of a life quality improved solution as well. Yeah, if you live in the Hebrides, any of these remote areas, I guess resilience to the environment changes, etc., it becomes even more important. You know, imagine you have a power cut, or you have suddenly increased gas prices, etc. And this solution, I think, is really timely, kind of a sound solution for many peoples.
Yeah, you keep up the good work, because it's always a dream of me when I'm 70 plus or something to live in Scotland. I might never do it, but it's still a dream. So I might as well join you in Glasgow. Herbert, the production process, how smart and automated is the INDU-ZERO factory?
Very smart, I think, because a lot of work is done by Strathclyde University in the production process, but together with the architectural, we make it even stronger, because by putting the warehouse in the dry zone, we even were able to make the production line smaller than it actually has to be done. So then architecture and production are working together and make.
But for you, that's all gesneden koek, sliced cookies, very Dutch. And we're going to see a short video shortly after. Yeah. But can you describe what is being done in the factory? What are the stages, and how technical is it and automated?
Well, I'm not completely into the production process. That's more Q-is work. But well, the products are coming in at the first floor, and their fully automated warehouse is bringing the products.
Robotics, etc.
Yeah, bring the products to the right place, and after that, half trucks are bringing down the products to the elevators and bring it down to the factory floor. And there the production process is starting, and complete panels are coming out of the factory at the end of the process. And that production flow is putting together in the building. Yeah.
And what kind of new solutions did you have to come up with to get this organized into a smart factory?
Well, the the complete process is really complex. So bringing in the products, every day they're coming in 100 trucks bringing the products, and yeah, we have 3 production lines.
You can't get it all the way from China or Taiwan or Brazil because it has to be short-chained.
Yeah.
So because we learned that from COVID at least.
Yeah.
Can you do that? It's all relatively local to get it in?
I think so. Yeah, I'm not really sure, but yeah. But the trucks need to be placed somewhere and bring in the goods, and it needs to be done efficient. So when we put in the production lines together at one place, yeah, there's also one place where we need to bring in the products. And now by putting out the production lines out of each other, we are able to bring in the products in the middle, and then we can divide it efficiently. So
which is new.
Yeah, so I think that's were good solutions and make the factory even more efficient.
Maybe this is a good point to watch that short video to see what this factory is about.
Yeah, really.
Please watch it.
The INDU-ZERO landscape. In our vision, a 21st century factory with an annual production capacity of 15,000 renovation kits that contribute to the reduction of carbon dioxide emissions and make houses energy neutral, must at the same time make a proven contribution to ecology, biodiversity, water management, education, and sustainability. In collaboration with INDU-ZERO, Bureau de Haan has dynamically intertwined ultra-modern industry and nature for this manufacturing facility design. The building is conceived as a landscape that is largely accessible to the public, while simultaneously compensating fundamentally for its own ecological impact. The production capacity results in an enormous amount of necessary storage for products that further increases the footprint and spatial impact of the facility. Therefore, the production lines, which are the length of 4 football fields, have been pulled apart and the storage space lies in between. By draping the landscape over these rectangular volumes, compensation is made to the neighborhood for the immense footprint of the production program. In addition to the ambitions of INDU-ZERO, Bureau de Haan has added extra facilities to the factory to simulate more multifunctional places for gathering and education. Visitors may follow the production process via an elongated route, hovering over the factory floor. In the design, this path is recognizable on the exterior of the building by the undulating white cutouts that are a metaphor for the way humans walk and contrast the modernist and rectilinear production devices within the factory. Together with the elongated sloping openings in the roof, these cutouts provide daylight for the production streets. About 80% of the factory has an uninterrupted direct connection with nature. All the logistical areas for production and visitors are concentrated one corner of the site above ground level. There, many of the offices are located around a green courtyard. From the immense landscape, the building here emerges in a more traditional form, giving an architectural expression to INDU-ZERO's ambition to make the world more sustainable.
Isn't that completely thrilling, ladies and gentlemen? Because you're actually seeing a gorgeous factory.
Yes.
Herbert, that's quite amazing. It's actually an addition to the landscape.
Yes, that's what was the concept all about. Because
yeah, but normally you turn out to an ugly box again.
Yes, but that was the thing that we not want, because after realizing what skill we were building on, we have to think. We thought we have to think different, because not compensating again for something that we are doing, that should be a wrong story, I think. So with this factory, we show that making the world sustainable, we should have a factory as well that support that goal, and even make the story
disappear
stronger.
in the landscape and add some extra nature and solar power, etc., etc.
Yes, and it is largely accessible for public as well, so they can walk over it and even don't imagine that they're walking over a factory.
Look, Daddy, this is the place where our home is being renovated.
Yes.
That's
really awesome, right?
Yeah.
And even then, we can realize a 50% cost reduction, even with such a beautiful
you show the video saying, oh, it must be hugely expensive.
No.
It's very Dutch. You're very good to be in the project, Jacques.
Yeah.
No, it has to be cheap. Yeah, let's go to Glasgow. Xian, when I see the video, how proud are you? Because it's such a new way of thinking about factories and putting it in a landscape and the techniques inside. It's quite something.
It is very exciting. I think you can see it's a true interdisciplinary, multidisciplinary kind of outcome from people working in different aspects. I don't know anything about architecture. Herbert's been working on that side. So from our side, I think it looks really fantastic. If you look from the inside, there's lots of smart features, smart things we are doing there. One challenge we face is old houses, they look the same to everybody, but when you come to the measurement of the old houses, they are all different. So this is a very challenging part, so we have to come up with autonomous manufacturing solutions to make renovation packages for each of these individual houses. So they are all different from production point of view. So it's a really future way of manufacturing this mass customized products for different houses. Yeah, very exciting, very.
Yeah, I can see it. Even at this distance, I can see some excitement on your face. For all of you, is there already an idea of where to put these factories? Can we use old facilities as well to demolish it and put it over there? Do we need new land for it? Which I always think, let's not do that if not really necessary. And when we start tomorrow, how long will it take to build the first factory? Who can say something on that?
I don't know how long it will take to build this factory, but you say we're not allowed to use new land when it's not necessary. But this concept, I think, makes it stronger to use part of land because it connects everywhere to nature, so we can fit in at every place. And
even at the side of a city, going into nature, you can sort of put it in between to
blend in, and people can collaborate in this landscape and make use of it. So it's not.
You could even put it in a city park.
Yeah, for instance. Yeah.
New thinking. I don't know whether that's a very good idea, but
we don't have to use anymore the industry lands again. We can place it everywhere and make it a nice place.
But about how long would it take? Anybody? So Jan, if you want to join in, you can do as well. But does it take?
I think we got 3 different type of manufacturing blueprints. Technically, they all sound. So if tomorrow somebody say, yes, I want to invest in this project, I think with a period of time, I guess a year, around 1 year time, then we should be able to put all the manufacturing equipment, etc., more specified and be kind of designed, fully finalized. Then obviously construction side, I think I'll rely on Herbert to give a bit more information on that side. Probably planning of this big factory could probably take some time, but with the willingness, I think, from government, especially from local government these days, for green manufacturing, for sustainable manufacturing, hopefully this political willingness will help us to deliver this type of future factories quicker.
You're being very political here because you're not saying it's 12 months or 3 years. Can we be a bit more specific, ladies and gentlemen? Well, gentlemen.
Yeah, I said 12 months from manufacturing equipment perspective, but building side and planning side, I don't know.
Okay, 12 months, is that realistic?
I think the aim should be 3 years to have the factory standing.
Okay, so then we really speed up, and I'm going to give you the Steve Jobs approach. You get 15 months.
But we need more than only planning the factory. Yes. We also need more, the on-site mounting is in progress, for example. We need more services. Because after...
Like what?
After delivery, the social housing company is the owner, for example, for 40 years.
Right.
So we also need to develop a good detailed plan and a financial plan for the services, for example.
So a new way of thinking there to use the Madaster, for example, you put in the material, you keep record of it, and it keeps its value, and you can reuse it afterwards, stuff like that.
And it's the end of life, but it's also when we are offering a new project for a low price, a new product for a low price, and the maintenance for the social housing company, the costs are very high. We don't deliver the right product.
Exactly.
So it has to be more than the factory, I want to say.
Yeah, but you have to start somewhere.
Yeah.
So we can't afford to say, oh, it's going to take another 10 years to get it perfect.
And I think the amount of 3 years, what Jacob said, is realistic, I think.
Yeah.
You also need to have training, because we are having an innovative product that is going to be assembled on location.
Yeah.
That's going to be as much as possible produced in the factory. And to do so, you need to train the people that are going to work with that product and going to work with that new ways of working.
But I think, because there's a shortage in labor everywhere, but working on a huge, very exciting project like this, people will really run to you. Can we work here? I think that will happen.
With a factory like this, I would say I would work there.
Yeah, it's really something to tell your children, or I'm working on 22 million homes renovation.
But still, when we're doing 6 houses in 14 days, then we still need a lot of people for the on-site mounting. That are more people than we need in the factory.
So in the whole circular economy, you need a lot of hands to do stuff.
Yeah, but we're reducing the amount of hands we need. And another topic, in constructing, we're always thinking from project to project.
Yeah.
We have to organize workflow, and people who are used doing this on-site mounting and not doing every time a new project. All that kind of things of learning, also learning on the job.
New lines, new ways of doing it. Yeah, right. Yeah. But you'll find out. Yeah. Just start somewhere and build the first factory. Will it be in the Netherlands or in Germany or in Ireland, or where will it be?
Discuss it with the Provinciehuis.
Just the Fingerspitzengefühl. Where will it be? To you?
I think.
Will it be in Ireland? Scotland?
Well, I think the initial idea is to have multiple such factories across Europe, because each country has each specific requirements for the renovations of that country. So I think from manufacturing perspective, we need to have one successful factory built. Looks like it's going to be in Holland somewhere. I hope that will happen soon. Once that's set up, then now to have a exemplar effect so other people can do and visit. So there are interest from UK side, I can tell you. I've been working with some of my colleagues probably to use part of the overall design. That's something could happen probably in a more incremental way.
Mm-hmm. I think it's a very complex way to say it will be in Scotland, right?
I think the new factory will be in the eastern of the Netherlands for the market, the Netherlands and Germany.
Oh, good. So the inter-region factory, halfway the border, half of it in the Netherlands, halfway somewhere in Oud-Marsum or something.
Denenkamp.
Yeah. Very tiny little town. Jacques.
Yeah, I hope it will be in Overijssel. And that's, among others, also because of the employment that is generated with it. So I hope that our province of Overijssel is very attentively listening.
Well, they are. We're
in the heart of the provincial democracy, indeed. We have calculated the number of direct workplaces in the factory, which is about slightly more than 400. Then there is more than 1,000 workplaces in this on-site mounting available. And we have asked INO Research in Enschede to calculate indirect effects. And that's another between 750 and 1,000 jobs. So this is for the province of Overijssel, I think, an offer too good to pass in order not to be involved in the further development of this project. So I hope we can today have a good start with this.
Add something on this?
Yeah, sure.
Yes. Okay. So one of the requirements of the factory was that it had to be limited on space, because if we are going to do everything ourselves, to create everything ourselves, for example, if we're going to produce the EPS ourselves, we can have another factory of that size next to it. So we really had to make decisions together as a team where we want to be part of what kind of part of the product to downsize that factory. And because the product affects the production lines, we had really good conversations with Strathclyde University related to downsizing that factory, and that resulted eventually in the design that you saw.
And I think for the Netherlands, we're a small country. It's very good to be first, or at least show that we want it here as well, because we can guide the rest of the world. We always really want to do that with a little Dutch finger. So we started now, so you have to follow. And we're really good at that. So let's do it. It's maybe a good moment, Bas, to go to you to see whether there are any questions.
Yeah, well, of course there are, because, well, let me try to summarize what our viewers are saying due to the effect of this great presentation. I can only quote Mr. Charles Dickens, great expectations. But, however...
It's going to be literary now, is it?
It's going to be a little bit literary.
Good.
But
I compare thee to a
also a little bit of a raised finger here, so... Because, you know, the discussion at the table is, of course, you know, an incentive to perhaps start a pilot project. In the background of this presentation, we already saw some of the minor type of projecting was developed for this. But how about a little pilot project on a major scale in the near future? So instead of trying to raise this factory in 3 years, how about a smaller one just to see whether it will work out for perhaps the province of Overijssel and the city of Enschede?
Yeah, good. And any specific questions?
Well, the specific, more critical question though is, well, what about this? No production process without raw materials. Are those materials sufficiently present, available nearby, and what about circularity?
Yeah, I think that's a very good point. The afterlife of all the isolation systems was already being put on the table, so that's a good thing to discuss a bit more. And I mentioned it earlier in my cartoon, the scarcity of raw materials will just peak the coming 15 years. At least 50 elements from the 100 we normally work with are going to be limited. So did you put that into the production design?
Yes, we did that. We are working with EPS, which is a polystyrene material, which is available at the market, largely available at the market.
Will be in 10 years, will be...
It's now. There are actually already sandwich panels with EPS. And to go back to that circularity question that was asked,
yeah.
Because everybody thinks, whoa, that's plastic, right? That kind of isolation. But in fact, we had a research done by the Ghent University about circularity and environmental impact. And figures are showing actually that with the available panels on the market and the panel that we created and modified that we want to have for the INDU-ZERO factory, that we can actually downsize that environmental impact by making decisions on how we are going to work with the materials. And in that ways, we also thought about how can we recycle the materials, and so there's a lot of tricks in the design.
Be a bit more specific. It's still fossil in there somewhere, yes. But that's not a problem because you can give it a very long life. And what can you do with it afterwards? Is it recyclable?
Yes, the EPS is
upcyclable, even better.
Yeah, the EPS is very well recyclable, so you can reuse it. So when you take off one of the panels of the facade, you can reuse that EPS again.
You can put it back into sort of raw material and use it into something.
Make new EPS again out of it.
That's good, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Everybody is thinking that wood timber frame will have a better life cycle analysis assessment, but the results were that the life cycle assessment from the sandwich panel was a little bit better than from timber frame.
Mm-hmm. And as long as it be circular in the end, it's not a real problem maybe. Yes. Yeah, and maybe they can change on the way as well. They say, oh, new materials, new insight, we'll see. But the principle has to be good for the environment, has to be circular, and we'll see where we get.
It's also making decisions between what is now available on the market and what do we expect that's going to be in the near future.
Absolutely.
And then think about what is going to be the future of the future. And that step is a way beyond, but then you first need to do the step that is close by
but
to
I'll be
realize
dead
it.
anyway by then, so I mean, you have to think such a broad view. It's hardly impossible, but it's very good for you. Bas?
Yeah, another question coming in. How much renovation packages will the factory produce per year?
Why per year? Why not per hour?
That's a question.
It's always we have.
So what is the production capacity?
In liquids, we always do swimming pools. In distance, we always do to the moon and back. And this is in a year.
Yeah, 15,000 renovation packages per year. So an average house has about, let's say, 16 panels.
No, less 9, I think.
9 or 10.
Panels, and each panel comes out with a takt time of 2 minutes.
It comes up to around 50 to 60 houses per day.
Yeah. So you need a lot of factories to get 22 million homes going on. Yeah.
Yes.
And when all the homes are renovated, what can we do with the factories? I'm really looking into the future now.
Yeah, that's something we have to think of, and but also building it that we can demount it. And
I'm just teasing you. Of course, you can use. It's a beautiful building. We'll think of something, right?
Yes, but using materials that can be demounted and that you can delete the factory is also a possibility.
Yeah.
So
I think Madaster. I don't know whether it's very well known in Europe. It's a very good system. All the materials can be taken out and still have their value. And great, Bas.
Yeah, since we're looking so much way ahead into the future, the question, of course, is:
can we do this on planet Mars as well?
Oh yeah, let's transport the factories to Mars. Let's do so. Perhaps Elon Musk is watching as well.
Oh no!
But no, the question raised is: how can students and universities participate in taking the next step? Which areas could be interesting for research?
I don't think that's very much into the future. This is right now. Very good question. How can all these knowledge centers in these 6 countries, or maybe even abroad?
At the moment, for my on-site mounting, 8 students are working on the project, for example.
Yeah, and there's room for more, probably.
We're always having much students in such a project.
Yeah, and you talk a lot about it, like this is what we're doing at Saxion, so other universities come along and help us.
It's also the change from the total constructing process, and we also you can we have departments for constructing, for civil engineering, all departments. So it's the changing the total topic, the total issues, all things from the opleiding, education from the constructors, for example.
Yeah. I think it might be so rewarding for them, because I talk to students a lot and I always think they're highly educated, they've got fantastic ideas, and they're really modest in their the way they take part in the discussion. They're always on the side and being modest, and they should. It's our future, it's our homes, we have to live there in the future, we want to help. So can you let them in?
Of course, as Gerard said, we do that already, and as we just heard, we need 3 more years to have a realistic time path for this factory to be
open. The first factory
open. So
I volunteer to cut
the ribbon.
ribbon.
Excellent. But before you can do that, I'm sure we need a lot of students who help us with the development. So in the next 3 years, I'm sure more than enough.
It's such a brilliant thing. They work on the project, they go to different companies, they tell about it. They say, no, they're doing that INDU-ZERO stuff over there, and everybody just wants to chip in.
And it's also a topic for researchers from our university.
Right. Great.
It's a must that students are participating. Even when we were developing the product, they came up with the innovative ideas, because the market is already focused on the existing products, and they have like the blind scope.
Yeah.
And with that blind scope, they are able to come up with ideas that are how to say
revolutionary and new. And the Nobel Prize never goes to people our age. They always go to people around 20.
Yeah.
So because they think differently. See you. How is it that with you in Glasgow with the students? Are they participating?
Yeah, it's already happening. Like my colleagues in Poland, I teach several classes, about 60 students in each class. And one thing I try to let them know is what's happening in INDU-ZERO. So some of students are very interested in this and working on either new ideas of making what we told them smart system even more smarter. So I think it's already happening. Research is another dimension. The research aspect, I think construction industry, generally speaking, is still lagging behind in terms of automation, robotics. So there's still lots of to catch up. So I think from a student's perspective, as you rightly say, the students will graduate next year, go to companies that will help to create a kind of right environment for this type of technology to take place.
Must be exciting. Do you have a final remark for everybody watching, working on the project, working outside the project? What do you want to tell them?
Right. From my perspective, I think one really exciting thing is this is a genuine European effort to tackle a real environmental sort of challenge we have. So I think it's really exciting. And if there are policymakers in the audience, investors in the audience, I would very much like to send a message to say, we now have a very good technological solution, environmentally consider the design, architecture, etc. So do please speak to us, and we would really like to get this off the ground and convert this blueprint into a factory of reality.
Well said. Glasgow, thank you very much. Same question for you at the table. Your final remark?
I couldn't say anything else than just join my remarks with the remarks of Professor Xiu. I think that's what was needed to be done.
Simple as that.
Simple as that.
I see there's a bit of emotion involved as well.
It's such a beautiful project.
Yeah, but there's an urge, like, oh, come on, people, we've got to do this.
We have to do it.
Yeah.
We have a big assignment.
I would like to keep it short. Let's keep working together and let's do the job.
Let's do the job.
This is the moment for other companies and organizations to
all
jump.
Kinds of pop songs. This is the moment.
To jump on the train that is already going into zero.
Yeah, there's no alternative. Final remarks.
Yes, it was fun to work on, and with the design we showed that we have to make a change, and INDU-ZERO is telling that story, I think. So
yeah, and very convincingly as well.
Yes.
I'm going to thank all of you. Professor Xiu, thank you very much. There's only 100 months till the year 2030, ladies and gentlemen, and that will give us a sense of urgency. It's only 100 months. And I learned a few weeks ago that emphasizing all the time that we're in a hurry and that we got to have the EU climate targets by 2030, it's not working to just emphasizing that all the time. So let me try to say it in a different tone of voice. We have no time. Time is up. We got to speed up. So let's do that. Good to know that INDU-ZERO is the game changer. The blueprint is there. It's open source. We can all change. Thank you very much for joining today. Few technicalities this afternoon. There will be a similar gathering, and the official launch of the blueprint will be taking place then. The URL of the blueprint is www.induzeroblueprint.eu. So go there if you want to see it for yourself. More information is on the website of the North Sea region.eu/INDU-ZERO. It's all on the site, so you can find it. Good luck the coming month, all of you, and the coming years to get this thing into action. And I'm really proud to be here today to be a tiny little part of it to get it into motion. And remember at all times that new sustainable world we can only make together. Thanks.